Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig, it's 9 o'clock and it's time for another video. And this is a Christmas video. I'm filming this at the beginning of December, but this should be coming out around about the Christmas period. So first of all, Merry Christmas, and I hope you have I hope you've had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. This is the 10 worst tricks of 2023, in my opinion. Now, this is only my opinion. It doesn't make it right. I know that there's tricks on here that people have disagreed with me with, and they actually like those tricks, and that's all well and good, and that's fine. I personally think that these are the worst tricks of 2023. Myself and Ryland went through every single trick we've reviewed on Magic TV this year with a fine-tooth comb. We looked back and forth over all of the tricks that we gave great reviews to, all the tricks we gave bad reviews to, and we came up with a list of what we think are the worst tricks of 2023. So, without further ado, buckle up, because we're going to be looking at the worst tricks of 2023. Here we go. In 10th place, and I got organised about this, as you can see. In 10th place, we have the Andalusian Challenge by Elias Desatel and Julio Monturo. The Andalusian Challenge. What is the Andalusian Challenge? Well, the Andalusian Challenge is a version of the Charming Chinese Challenge plot by Troy Huser. Now, if you don't know what that plot is, the idea is that you have 3 coins, you put them onto a ribbon, one at a time, the coins come off the ribbon, right? That's what the trick is. Andalusian Challenge is a version of that. Now, let me explain what's happened here. With the original Charming Chinese Challenge, I don't think I'm giving too much away by explaining that Troy Huser had a 4th coin in play. He worked 1 ahead. Now, what that meant is that the displays were really fair, because you could have the spectator drop 3 coins onto the ribbon. They could do that themselves. You could show that the 3 coins are on the ribbon, and then the first one comes off, leaving you with 2. And then what would happen is then you would have them tug, and they can see there's 2 coins on there, and then the next one will come off. And the reason that works is because of some clever sleight of hand by Troy, but also the fact that the coins are coming off on the offbeat. So what I mean by that is the first coin comes off, and then you're setting up for the next coin to come off. When they're reacting to the first coin coming off, they're relaxed. It's the offbeat, as Guy Hollingworth would say, and that's when you're setting up for the next coin. Now, the reason I tell you that is because the Andalusian Challenge uses just 3 coins. There's no extra coins, there's no gimmicks. You get 3 coins and you get a ribbon, and it teaches you how to do Charming Chinese Challenge with 3 coins. Now, that might seem interesting, right? The problem is, in order to do Charming Chinese Challenge with 3 coins, you can't be, you either have to, so for the first coin is a perfect example. You're not actually putting the 3 coins onto the ribbon. You're putting 2 coins onto the ribbon. You're not putting the 3rd one on there. And what they've developed with the Andalusian Challenge is a way of displaying the coins so it looks like all 3 coins are on, whilst in reality only 2 coins are on. Well, I'm telling you right now that that is not convincing enough. If you're doing a trick where coins are passing through a ribbon, why would you not want to be in a situation where the coins can be examined on the ribbon first? Why would you not want to be in a situation where the spectator puts the 3 coins on the ribbon themselves and then you proceed to take them off? The problem is, it's an okay, as a creative exercise, it's okay. And if it had appeared in a, collection of 15 routines in a masterclass or a Penguin Live or an academy, an Alakazam Academy or something like that, you might go, oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. That's an interesting take on that plot. But nobody would do it because it's not as clean as the original version. And a lot of the tricks that I'm actually going to be talking to you about today, a lot of and this is not by design, this is by chance when I had a look at them afterwards, a lot of the tricks that I'm going to be talking to you about, they have that common problem in that they're a take on an existing plot, but it's a substandard version of that existing plot. So why would you do it? Why on earth would you do it? In a million years, I don't understand. And like I say, Andalusian Challenge is just not good. I can't imagine anybody doing it in the real world that already knows how to do Charming Chinese Challenge, because I can't see any benefit over this compared to Charming Chinese Challenge. There are literally no benefits at all because everything has to be more convoluted in order to achieve the same results. Sometimes, we hear it all the time. Oh, I'm pure. I'm not going to use gimmick decks. I'm not going to use coin gaffs. I'm not going to use an extra coin. I'm only going to use pure sleight of hand. Well, from my point of view, you do what you do to impress the audience. When you're booked to do an event, it's your responsibility to do the best possible magic that you can do. Now, if the best possible magic is doing Charming Chinese Challenge with one less coin, go for it. But the bottom line is, this is nowhere near as good as the original. And not only that, it's a waste of money because nobody's going to do this. They're going to grab it, they're going to watch the tutorial, and they're going to stick it in their bottom drawer. It's why this is on it's on this list. It's the 10th worst trick, in my opinion, of 2023. In 9th position, we have Fulleroid by Mello. Now, what is Fulleroid? Well, Fulleroid, I debated back and forth with Ryland as to whether to put this on here or not, and we ended up putting it on. Fulleroid is the whole idea of bringing out two postcards, two Polaroids, and there's a woman on one, there's a man on the other, and you tell a story about your grandparents and, they died before you were born and you've got no memory of them. You've only got these pictures. And the ultimate idea is that the woman disappears off the one picture and appears on the other picture with the man. Really great idea, right? And it is actually a really good idea. It really is. The problem with it is the single most impractical trick that I have ever seen. It is so impractical. So when Ryland and I was practicing it, Ryland wanted to put it on his social media because Ryland's grandparents passed away before he was born. And he wanted to put it on his social media. He thought it would be a really good thing to do. We must have spent about 20 or 30 takes getting it just right. Because every single time he did it, even though I was in control of the camera and he knew the angles that he had to use in order to do it, we still ended up seeing it flash a little bit. Like, we had to do it over and over again. And that was for social media. Now, look, I don't have a problem with social media magic. I get that there are certain tricks that work best on social media. There's certain tricks that work best on social media that are not going to work in a real world, or they're going to work but not to the same level. And that's fine. There is a market for people buying tricks for social media. Ryland does it. He's got a very active social media presence. So he puts a lot of stuff on social media. I get it. Not a problem with that. That's absolutely fine. This, first of all, it was marketed as being able to be done in the real world, and you cannot do this in the real world. I'm telling you right now, you cannot do this in a real gigging situation. Unless you are performing for somebody and you have strapped them to the chair and you have strapped their head to the chair so that they do not move even a millimeter. Unless you've done that, there is no way that you're going to be able to perform this and successfully perform it to a level where it doesn't flash. You're going to end up having to do it a ton of times on social media to make it look good. But in the real world, forget about it. Just forget about it. And what's going to happen? Ultimately, this is going to be in your bottom drawer. And I know that because that's what's happened with Ryland. He filmed it for Instagram, Facebook. He's put it in a bottom drawer, and it's never going to see the light of day again. It's an expensive trick that just literally is going to get bought by people, and they're going to put it in their bottom drawer. There's no way in God's green earth that this will be performed by anybody ever. It is a complete and total waste of money. And it's a shame because it's a nice plot, and I wish they'd come up with a more practical method to do this. But unfortunately, it is what it is. It's why it's number 9 on this list. Okay, in 8th place, we have Salt and Pepper by Rocco. Salt and Pepper by Rocco. Now, there are so many problems with Salt and Pepper. It is insane. There are so many issues. There's so many problems. The first one is the iron filings that you get in order to perform this routine. It says on the bottle, do not ingest. Do not ingest in any way, shape, or form. Do not get them on your fingers. Do not do anything. Don't get it in your eyes. Don't get it in your mouth. And the tutorial tells you that, like probably 10 or 15 times in the first minute. Do not ingest this. This is going to be dangerous. Do not have it anywhere near you. But then the actual routine involves you tipping this stuff into your hand and getting a spectator to rub their finger around in it. Now, all it takes is for them to cough or have their finger go in their mouth or something like that, and then we've got a problem. So the first thing is, in my opinion, when you've got a product that you're telling people not to ingest or get anywhere near their bodily parts, and you're having the spectator get this on their finger potentially, that ain't a good situation. But secondly, this is just so impractical. It's untrue. When I saw the trailer, I thought this was going to be a practical version of a trick that I'd seen years ago with the Raven. No, not at all. It is not practical. It is completely unpractical. It is the most unpractical trick that I have ever seen, in my opinion. It is just dire. There's nobody ever that's going to do this, and that's the problem. Nobody ever is going to do this. It's not even an amazing trick for social media. It's okay, but it's not an amazing trick for social media. But it was marketed as a trick that will work in a real life situation. Well, first of all, I don't see how it's going to work in a real life situation, because in order to do it, and you could do it, but you're going to end up in a situation that once you've performed it, you have to excuse yourself from your performing area while you disappear for 15 minutes to get yourself into a situation where you can perform other magic, because you are, the definition of ending dirty and then some. The method is impractical. The trick isn't even that impressive, and there's just the tutorial was just abysmal. There is nothing to like about this at all. And it's a shame, because Rocco's a great magician. He really is. But this is just a cash grab. That's what it is. And I think all of these tricks are just cash grabs. I think it's something that Rocco couldn't even be asked to be on the project. He's got somebody else to be on there instead. They're sitting down in a room. They're doing a 10 or 15 minute tutorial, and it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, we're just dialing it in now, aren't we? We're just phoning it home. That's what we're doing. It's shit. In 7th place, and this is not going to be the first time, it's not going to be the only time is on this list, Billin Lemon by Sioma. So here's the thing. This is another example of what I said earlier on, in that this trick is an attempt to improve the Billin Lemon, but it really doesn't improve the Billin Lemon. If anything, it's a step backwards from a methodological point of view. There's nothing new here. That's the problem. There's nothing new here. People have been putting bills in lemons for as long back as I can remember. So what you have here is a really kind of crappily designed shit 3D printed gimmick that's going to allow you to dangle a lemon in your jacket. So first of all, there's clothing requirements to this, obviously. You're going to have this lemon dangling around in your jacket pocket or just outside of your jacket pocket. And then the gimmick basically allows you to put a bill into a lemon through this funnel system. But you don't need that. There's a million ways of putting a Billin Lemon. I've done Billin Lemon for years with a star trap, and it's just as easy to put it in with a star trap as it is to put it in with this gimmick. If anything, the gimmick makes it more cumbersome because you've got a load of stuff lying around inside your jacket that ends up being there. Look at chop, for example. You know, the load of the lemon into chop can be done in literally a split second. My Billin Lemon routine involves giving the lemon out to the audience from the beginning of the trick. At the very, very beginning, I give people a lemon in a bag, and I told them to hold on. Well, I don't tell them it's a lemon, but I say, I'm going to give you this bag. I'd like you to hold on to it. We'll take it back off you later on. And there's a lemon inside the bag. And then I go into my routine, and at the end of the routine, I take the bag back, and I reach into the bag, and I slip off my thumb tip, and I load the bill into the lemon as I take the lemon out the bag. And then I show the lemon to the audience, and I cut it open and inside the bill. And the lemon has been in the audience from the entire beginning of the trick. I don't need an expensive gimmick to be shoved into the lemon to load it in there. You don't need an expensive gimmick. And also, you know, by bringing the lemon out the pocket instead of handing it out into the audience from the beginning, it's just a step back from a methodological point of view. It really is. Now, they'll say, well, it's so much better because it's got cling film wrapped around the lemon, and that's what makes it deceptive, because it's not impressive enough that a fucking bill has gone into a lemon. No, we need to make it super extra impressive by having some cellophane wrapped around it. That is magician's logic. That is magician's logic. From a layman's point of view, a bill has gone into a lemon. They're not thinking there's some way to have that lemon opened up beforehand and then closed back up. A bloody lemon has gone into a bill has gone into a lemon. No layperson ever in the entire history of watching the Billin Lemon has gone, well, that's very good, Mr. Magician. I really like how that bill went into that lemon. I think it would be a little bit better if you had some cellophane or some cling film wrapped around the lemon first of all, because that would make it more impressive. Said no layperson ever. This is just a massive step back. We've taken Billin Lemon, and what we've done is we've de-evolved it into something that's just more cumbersome and added stuff that doesn't really fit the bill. This is one of the worst Billin Lemon. Now, this is the worst Billin Lemon that I've ever seen, and it's another example of a waste of money. People are going to buy the little plastic bag that this crap comes in, watch the tutorial, and by the way, there's no live performances of the tutorial because Sioma doesn't care less about his audience. He doesn't care less about his customers. If he did, he'd actually, and that's the other bugbear that I've got with a lot of these tricks, right? A lot of the tricks that are on this list, the tutorial is dire. The tutorial is dire and there's no live performances. I'm telling you right now, there is no reason for live performances to not happen in this day and age. I can take a phone and I can go out into a street and I can get live performance footage of me performing a trick. If you believe in your trick, if you want me to part money with my trick and if you want me to part money to buy your trick and you believe in your trick to the point that you're asking me to money and you're expecting me to give you the money, then prove that it works in the real world and stop half-arsing the tutorials. Stop going and doing a 5-minute tutorial which just pays lip service to the product. Actually take your phone, go out there and show me you're doing it in the real world. And if you don't do it in the real world, then I'm just going to accept that you don't have a clue what you're talking about, that you've created this literally to just sell shit to magicians, and the magic community as a whole has had enough of it. Stop half-arsing this crap and actually start doing live performances. As for Billin Lemon, this one's utter shite. Okay, so in 6th position, we have the Chaos Cube by Alfonso Abadjula, if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm very sorry, marketed by Vanishing Ink. So the Chaos Cube, first of all, is a version of Daryl's Enchanted Cube. That's what it is. It's the exact same gimmick as Daryl's Enchanted Cube. The only difference is it's being made out of an RD regular, so it's easier to turn compared to the Enchanted Cube. But in terms of the actual gimmick, there is literally no difference between the Enchanted Cube and this that's been marketed, right? No difference at all. So then the difference is then in the routine. Now, to be fair to Vanishing Ink, to be fair to Alfonso, it's gone from a quick moment of magic to a 3-phase routine, where first of all, you show a mixed up cube, you solve one layer, then you solve another layer, then you solve another layer, you mix it up again, you solve the whole thing. There's lots of different options in terms of performing it. And you know what? I know that there's people out there like Michael O'Brien put a video on saying how much he likes Chaos Cube, and Steve Faulkner put a video on saying how much he likes Chaos Cube. As far as I'm concerned, Chaos Cube is one of the biggest wastes of space and piles of crap that I've seen this entire year, which is why it's on the list. Because here's the thing, right? It's another example of releasing a magic trick that does something that there's already a perfect method for, and it doesn't actually add or build on that method. So, and what I mean by that is you're kind of thinking, well, hang on a minute. Right, so first of all, there's lots of ways of solving a regular cube. You know, look at Takamiza Sui, look at Stephen Brundwich, look at the Cube 3 mix, look at Takamiza Sui's original one-handed mix. It's not a difficult way to solve a cube. It looks like it's been mixed up, and then it solves. And then you've got other solves as well. You've got Stephen Brundridge's toss-up solve. You've got the one-move solve that was put out on a Henry Harriers product. You've got the Nightmare solve by Henry Harriers. There's so many different ways of actually taking a cube that's apparently mixed up and then solving it into a solved state. So what does this add? What does the Chaos Cube add to all of those versions? Well, not much as far as I can see. Because first of all, it's not like you're eliminating the moves. You might go, well, Takamiza Sui's Stephen Brundridge's method, that involves learning a simple algorithm, and you have to learn that algorithm, and you have to learn a false mix. Well, you have to learn an algorithm, and you have to learn a false mix with this as well. It's not like this eliminates that slight. You're just trading one algorithm for another algorithm. So it's not like it's going to make it any easier for you, because it's not. Because you're still going to have to learn those algorithms. So then it becomes, well, okay, I'm going to learn these algorithms for this chaos cube. What makes it better than doing cube magic with a regular cube? And the answer is, as far as I can see, nothing. Because here's the thing, the cube is not examinable at the end. Once you have done chaos cube, you can't examine the cube. One side is not examinable. Let's be clear about that. Once you've done your solve, one side is not examinable. Now, I have been doing cube magic in the real world for years. And whenever I do a one-move solve, or I do a shake solve, or I do any type of solve like that, immediately the spectators think it's a special cube and there's a button that's going to make the cube change. So to prove it to them, I immediately give them the cube and I let them play with it. And they can't find anything because there's nothing to find, because it's a regular cube. When you do something as visual as that, people are going to want to look at the cube. They can't look at Chaos Cube. You can't give it them to examine, because now you could mix it up and let them have a look at it, but then you've got the nightmare of having to put it back together and solve it. And we'll get to that a little bit later on. But, you know, you can't have Chaos Cube examined. You just can't. You can't solve the cube and then give it out in its solved state. With a regular cube, I can give the cube out to them, give them to mix, and I can go into something else, like solving just one side of the cube and doing some cube 3 stuff, or some cube 52 stuff, or I could go into solving the cube for them in front of them. I can blindfold myself and solve the cube in front of them. There's a bunch of different ways I can go. I can't do that with Chaos Cube, because once I've solved it, if I give it out in its solved state, I'm screwed. The second problem with this is that the angles, because of how the cube works, the angles are nowhere near as good as using a regular cube. When you're using a regular cube, you can show a mixed up cube, give it a shake, solve it, and immediately hand it to them, and people can look at it from any angle. With this, you have some serious major angle problems. Depending on the handling that you're doing, you need to be very careful of where people are standing. And then you've got the big problem, which is the fact that anybody who's never done cube magic before will know when you're first learning a new trick, you're going to end up accidentally mixing up the cube when you're learning a new algorithm. That happens to everybody all of the time. With even Ryland's amazing at cubes, and when he was learning Chaos Cube, he accidentally mixed up the cube 2 or 3 times while he was learning the algorithm that he needed to be able to do this trick. Now the problem with that is the way that they actually suggest that you fix the cube, because you can't just fix it. Right, it's not like a normal cube where you can put it in a solver and just follow the steps on the phone, or you use the beginner's method to solve a cube and you just solve it. That's not going to happen. In order to solve the cube, you literally have to take it apart. 15 minutes of the tutorial is, right, let's remove this part, let's remove this part, let's remove this part. Imagine you accidentally mix it up, or you get a grabby spectator who picks it up and mixes it up. What are you going to do? Okay, I know I'm booked for 2 hours close-up magic. I'm going to have to nip into the back right now for 15 minutes with my screwdriver to fix my shitty, wanky cube that I have to literally take apart in order to fix it because I've screwed it up somehow. It's just a step backwards. There is no advantage. If it was like a much better solve, if it looked 20 times better than the methods that we use with a regular cube, maybe you'd go, well, you know, there's this going for it. There's literally nothing going for this trick at all. It is terrible. It is absolute crap. And I'm surprised that Vanishing Ink brought it out. Okay, and for the 3rd year in a row here at Magic TV, we have a product by Peter Eggink, who is at this point possibly one of the worst creators on the planet. And he has the honor of being at number 5 with Concealed. Now, he might have had more tricks in the top 10, but you know, in order for my sanity to remain intact, and in order for me to not completely go around the wall, I haven't reviewed everything he's brought out, because I just can't be asked, frankly, to be perfectly honest. I've lost all faith in him as a creator. But I did look at Concealed. It's a version of Card to Pocket. It is another example of a trick where he's taking a classic plot and making it the single most convoluted experience known to man. It's a card to pocket, right? Now, you can do a card to pocket very, very easily. You can do a card to pocket. Pick a card, sign it, side steal. Look, it's in my pocket. the original Stars of Magic, the homing card. Perfect way of doing card to pocket. Look at some of Gary Jones' pocket to pocket stuff. There's so many different ways of having a card go in your pocket with and without palming. So many different ways, so many different options. Stick a double backer in your pocket, control the card to the top and do a double lift. Give them the card. Job done. There's 1,000 ways of doing this, but what Peter wants to do is he wants to create a trick that looks really good on a trailer, because here's what Peter is more concerned about than anything else. Peter couldn't give two shits about whether the trick is any good or not. Peter couldn't give two shits about whether the trick is actually performable in the real world. If he did, he'd actually show us real world performance footage as opposed to sitting in his garden going through the trick with one camera. No. Peter doesn't give a shit about that. All Peter cares about is what the trailer looks like. That's the most important thing. So if he can come up with an absolute convoluted hot mess of bullshit in order to try and show people that this trailer moment is really good, then he's going to do that, because people are going to watch the trailer, they're going to buy it, and then only then will they realise that it's going into their bottom drawer. And honestly, this is the absolute definition of bottom drawer. There's pulls, there's magnets, there's God knows what to achieve a trick that you can do very, very simply with a plethora of methods. This wouldn't go in your bottom drawer. What would happen here is you would open up your bottom drawer and you would make a hole in the bottom drawer. That would go into the drawer underneath. You'd then open up that hole in that bottom drawer. That would go through to the floor. You'd then open up the floor and you would dig a 16-mile tunnel down into the ground where you'll find some more drawers. You'll go through every single one of those drawers and you'll do another 16-mile tunnel until you find some more drawers. You'll do that for 48 hours until you reach the other side of the earth. And then you'll come up on the other side of the earth and you'll be in a bottom drawer somewhere else on the planet. And that's where this trick is going to reside. It is, just like every single Peter Egging trick that's come out in the last 3 years, it is at best an insult to the magic community. Nobody's going to do it, and it's crap. And at worst, it's just, honestly, think about your reputation and your legacy, Peter. What the hell? And at least prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. If you're watching this, and this goes to any creator that does this, but especially Peter Egging, if you are 100% confident that this trick works in the real world, go get your little trick, set up your little pulls, set up your little magnets, and go out into the real world and show me it performed in the real world. You won't do that because you and I both know it's bollocks. So in fourth place, he's back again, and we're talking about Sioma, and Sioma is back in fourth place with Akan. That's what he's called it. It's called it Akan by Sioma. Go look at the review that me and Ryland did on this trick. Look, this is the most convoluted Akan that I've ever seen in my life. And I love Akan. I know some magicians like Akan, some magicians don't like Akan, and that's absolutely fine. But how does this have a place in the market? If you want to do a trick where somebody names a card, somebody names a number, and the card is dealt to that number and it's their card, you're not going to get that with this. This is a convoluted hot mess of bullshit. There is so much procedure that you have to go through in order to get to this position. It is insane. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now you look at something like the Grail by Mike Rose, and you look at the Grail and you go, okay, what does that effect look like? And you look at the effect of the Grail, or you look at something like Asywin's Akan, or you look at the million other Akans that are out there. Position Impossible. I've done videos on all the different Akans. You look at all those Akans and they've all got something going for them. You look at this and you're going to bore your spectators to death. Literally, if you buy this trick, there's a chance that you're going to have at least one spectator in your audience die. Because by the time you've got through the convoluted procedural mess that you have to go through in order to make this trick work, there's going to be somebody in the audience that's died of boredom. It's just going to happen. It's another example of a trick that's just going to go in your bottom drawer. At this point, I'm questioning whether Sioma can actually create a good trick. I don't know. I don't think so, but we'll see. Okay, so in third place, this one pains me. It's CSTC Jumbo by N2G and Bon Lee. Now, I'm a big fan of Bon Lee, I really am. And I do a lot of jumbo coin magic, and I was super excited about this jumbo coin trick because it's basically a gimmicked jumbo Chinese coin that allows you to be able to do multiple jumbo coin productions. So you could do like a 3-coin production and a 3-coin vanish with a jumbo coin. And I was really excited about it, even though it cost almost 150 quid. I was really excited about it. And when it came, I opened it up and, you know, I mean, it's N2G, isn't it? So the trailer's absolutely terrible because that's what N2G do. They don't actually do trailers. They just sit in a penthouse apartment in a block of flats and, you know, just have a little camera over their shoulder, and there's no live performances. Oh, God, no. Why are there no live performances? Because N2G couldn't perform their way out of a paper bag, as far as I'm concerned. If I'm wrong, then show me a live performance. Show me a live performance. Tell me where there's a live performance on a tutorial of any one of N2G's tricks. You can't, because they're not. But the big problem with this jumbo coin, it actually is quite good for the first hour or two that you get it, and then you spend a couple of hours practicing with it and playing with it and coming up routines with it, and then you realise that a lot of the paint has rubbed off it, and you end up with something that doesn't look anything like a Chinese coin, and then you go, well, okay, well, maybe I got a dud, you know, and then you realise that everyone else has got the same problem, and then you carry on playing with it, and it doesn't look like a jumbo coin. After a couple of days, it looks like a giant fucking washer. That's the problem. You're charging over 100 quid for something that will fall apart within seconds. So first of all, you've got the shitty the tutorial, then you've got the crap explanation, then you've got the terrible fact that there's no live performance, and then you're charging over 100 quid for something that is basically a glorified jumbo washer. It's just a complete and total rip-off. What you've done, N2G, what you've done is you've decided to just take every single member of the magic community that's bought this trick, bend them over, and you just boom, from behind. You're just screwing them over. That's what you're doing. This is just... I was so disappointed. I wanted to like this. I really did. I wanted to like this, and I wanted this to be good. It's not good. It's shit. Right, now we're up into the second worst trick of 2023, and this is something that I was really offended with. Crunch by Kelvin Chad. Crunch by Kelvin Chad. What is crunch? Well, it sounds good. You borrow a coin, and it disappears, and it appears in a borrowed bag of chips or crisps. I mean, that sounds good, doesn't it? Borrowed coin into a bag of chips, until you realise the method, which is just ridiculous. So the method is that you've got a little knife. Tiny little knife, smallest knife you could possibly imagine, that you can push in and out, and that's stuck to the back of a coin. I'm really not kidding. So you borrow the chips or the crisps, and you cut a big hole in the back. There's no talk of misdirection on how to do this. There's no live performances. There's no way of saying, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it. This is nothing like that. You're literally just going to make a big hole in the bag of crisps when nobody's looking, and then you're going to throw their signed coin in there. And then, because of that giant hole, when you open the crisps up, you have to open them up like an idiot. Like, you have to open them up like nobody would ever open up a bag of crisps or chips. You're not going to go, boom, like every normal person does. No, you're kind of going to do this convoluted thing that just looks ridiculous because you're dealing with a hole in the back of the crisp packet. Honestly, this is just terrible. This is a perfect example. I guarantee you I know what's happened here. This guy, what's his name? Whatever his name is, Kelvin Chad. This guy Kelvin has probably been walking around in like a market or somewhere, and he's seen these little knives, and he's gone, oh, I've got an idea. I can sell that to the magic community, because he's thought, well, you know what? The magic community will buy any old shit. And unfortunately, he's right, because apparently the magic community will buy any old shit, because that's what we have here, an absolutely crap, terrible product with absolutely no redeeming qualities at all. And it's another example of something that nobody will ever use. You will never use this. Nobody will ever use this. Kelvin will never use this. And if he does, why hasn't he included live performance footage? You want to know why? Because it's crap. It's crap. It's crap. It's crap. And then, the worst trick of 2023, in my opinion, is Dr. Schwartz Floating Light Bulb by Marvin Schwartz. This is terrible. 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 There is literally no tutorial to this. You look at the link and it's just, there's no tutorial. There's some instructions that don't make any sense whatsoever. Doesn't tell you how to do anything. There's like a sheet of paper with like 7 or 8 photos that you're just meant to look at the photos and figure out what's going on. There's no live tutorial. There's no live performance. They're not like the old school instructions that you'd get and it explains everything in detail. Now, all you've got is you've got some photos. And you look at the photos, and it took me ages to figure out how this whole thing worked, because you can't even understand it. But then when you buy it, and you sit there for hours trying to figure out how it works, and you kind of go, okay, this is what it's meant to do. You then watch it, and you're just like, this is just terrible. This is just awful. This is just, you know, the zombie gimmick is a beautiful gimmick. It really is. The zombie gimmick is a great gimmick. Done well. You know, you look at people like Lysander doing it with bubbles. You see people doing it and you go, yeah, that's a work of art. With this, that is absolutely not the case. And what you need with something like this is you need a tutorial. You need detailed instruction on how to make this look good. Could this look good? Very possibly, maybe. Will it look good if you buy it? No, because you're not going to have any tutorial with it, you know. And they've charged an absolute fortune for this, for a hanky, a zombie gimmick, and a light bulb that you can get for like £5 from a joke shop. And I'm not kidding about that. That's what we have here. We have a zombie gimmick, a slightly modified zombie gimmick, a Fulleroid, and literally they've kept the light bulb in the same packaging as it would be from the joke shop. Like, they have charged a fortune for this. Mr. Howard Schwartz, or whatever his name is laughing all the way to the bank. No live performances. You know, I'd love to see what would have happened. You know, okay, right, I'm going to release the floating light bulb. Fantastic. Oh, right, okay, so this is a tough one to get looking good. I think, Mr. Schwartz, you're going to have to really kind of go deep on explaining how this works and all the subtleties that are going to make it look good, as opposed to just a light bulb on a stick. You know, you want to, I'm just going to give them some instructions. I'm not going to write them out, though. I'm just going to put some photos on there. Let them sort it out themselves. Fucking waste of space. And it costs a fortune. This costs so much money, and it looks absolutely shite. And in this day and age, you shouldn't have to sit there with some instructions that you don't understand when you've paid so much money for a trick. This is just an abomination. I went back and forth on what the worst trick was for this year, and both myself and Ryland both agreed that this is just diabolically bad. So there you go, guys. That's another video in the bag. Like I said earlier, Merry Christmas. What do you think in the comments down below? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are there some of the tricks on this list that you actually quite like? Let me know in the comments. Are there some that I've missed? I'd love to know what you think. Let me know. You know, there's been some terrible tricks come out in 2023, but there's been some great ones as well. So let's celebrate the great ones and not worry too much about the bad ones. Hope you're having a great Christmas. I'll be back again soon with another video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, treat yourself to a Christmas gift and check out the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com. Check it out and see what all the fuss is about. I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.